Have you got a big idea, but a not-so-big bank account? Yeah, you are definitely not alone. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of Canada's most powerful tools for entrepreneurs, a program that's designed to solve that one huge problem, getting the funding to turn your vision into a reality.
I mean, it's the million-dollar question, right? Sometimes quite literally. You've got the plan, you've got the passion, but where does the actual capital come from? It can feel like this massive wall you just can't climb. But here's the thing. There are resources out there, powerful ones, if you just know where to look. All right, let's quickly break this down. When you hear government funding, there are usually two main roads you can go down. On one side, you've got grants. Now, that's free money, which sounds amazing, but the competition for grants is incredibly fierce, and they're often for very specific things. On the other side, you have loans. Yeah, you've got to pay them back, but they are often way faster and more accessible, especially when you need money to get moving right now. And that idea of accessibility brings us to what we're talking about today. It's an absolute game changer for thousands of Canadian businesses. We are going deep on the Canada Small Business Financing Program, or let's just call it the CSBFP for short. So what is this thing really? Well, the best way to think about it is not as a handout from the government. Instead, think of it like a secret partner, someone who stands behind you and gives your bank the confidence to say yes to your big idea. So the whole thing is officially run by a group called Innovation, Science and Economic Development Canada, or ISD. They're the ones who design the program, set the rules, and basically provide the safety net that makes this whole thing work. And here is the really clever part. The government doesn't just hand you cash. What they do is they go to your bank or credit union and say, hey, we'll share the risk on this loan. If, for some reason, a business can't pay it back, the government covers a huge chunk of the lender's loss, up to 85%. So what does that mean for you? It means that all of a sudden, your business just became a much, much safer bet in the eyes of your bank. So let's just walk through how this actually works. Step 1, you, the entrepreneur, take your business plan and you go directly to a lender, your bank, a credit union, whatever. Step 2, they make the decision. They look at your plan just like any other loan application. And then, step 3, if you get approved, the government steps in behind the scenes to guarantee it. See what's missing there? You never actually applied to the government at all. Now, this program is not some dusty old policy. It is constantly evolving. And some really recent changes are just fantastic news for small businesses. We're talking more money and a whole lot more flexibility. And I'm not talking about minor tweaks here. Back on July 4th, 2022, the program got a major overhaul. It was basically modernized to meet the needs of businesses today, which means more things you can finance and bigger loan amounts. Let's talk numbers, because they're pretty impressive. The absolute maximum amount a single business can now get through this program is $1.15 million. That's a huge boost. Now, that total includes up to $1 million as a term loan. You know, a big lump sum for a specific purpose, like buying the property for your shop, getting that huge piece of equipment you need, or maybe doing a massive renovation. And on top of that $1 million loan, you can now also get a line of credit for up to $150,000. This part is brand new and it's a total game changer. It's not a lump sum, it's flexible cash you can dip into whenever you need it for things like payroll, buying inventory, all the day-to-day costs that keep the lights on. But honestly, maybe the biggest change is what you can use the money for. The program used to be all about physical stuff, equipment, buildings. Now it covers intangible assets and working capital costs, which, before this, were huge expenses businesses had to cover all on their own. So what in the world are intangible assets? Well, think of all the important stuff for a business that you can't physically touch. We're talking about things like franchise fees, patents for your brilliant invention, the official cost to incorporate your company, or those crucial permits and licenses you need to operate. All of that can now be financed. Okay, this all sounds great. But you're probably wondering, am I eligible? So let's get into how you actually qualify and apply. And you know what? It might be a lot more straightforward than you think. The main requirements are actually pretty simple. First, you have to be a business operating right here in Canada. And that includes startups, established companies, for-profits, and even not-for-profits. Second, your gross annual revenues have to be $10 million or less. And that's pretty much it. The only major exception is farming, which has its own special program. So just to say it one more time, your journey starts at your local bank, not on some government website. You put together a solid business plan, with your cash flow projections and market analysis, all the usual stuff. And you go talk to a financial officer. They're the ones who review it and make the final call. The CSBFP is just that silent partner in the background, making it way more likely that they'll say yes. So, with all that said, does this program actually move the needle? Is it making a real difference? Well, the numbers are, frankly, staggering. Let's look at the sheer scale of this thing and the impact it's having across Canada. Okay, get ready for this number. In just the 2024-25 fiscal year alone, lenders handed out almost $1.9 billion in loans under this program. That is the single largest amount in the program's entire history. It's a massive injection of capital right into our small business economy. But here's the stat that really blew me away. Who is actually getting this money? An incredible 74.1% of all that financing, we're talking over $1.4 billion, went to startups and businesses that were less than a year old. This program is literally a lifeline for new entrepreneurs. It's the fuel for the next generation of Canadian business. And this isn't just money for flashy tech companies. The top two industries are the businesses you see on your main street every single day. Accommodation and food services. Your local restaurants, cafes, and small hotels got over $900 million. And retail was right behind them with over $282 million. This is direct support for jobs right in our communities. So what are they spending it on? Well, the priorities are pretty clear. The huge majority, over 83%, is going into physical stuff, renovating spaces, buying new equipment. You'll see that little 2.7% for working capital and those intangible assets, well, that's a brand new category. I would bet you anything we're going to see that number climb way up as more and more businesses realize they can finally finance these critical costs. And if you want to understand the long-term impact, this quote from the Government of Canada really says it all. Over the last decade, we are talking about more than 53,000 loans, adding up to over $11 billion in capital for small businesses. The impact is just undeniable. So, let's put it all together. The program is bigger and more flexible than it has ever been. It's laser-focused on helping brand new businesses get off the ground, and it has a proven, multi-billion-dollar track record of success. The only real question left is, could this be the key that unlocks the next chapter for your business? It might be time to book that meeting with your bank.